You'll learn how to design and lead life-changing workshops as you listen to this summary of Ken Nelson, David Ronca and Leslie Lang with Liz Korobic Emerson and Jim White's book Designing. Create the conditions for transformation in your groups, trainings, and retreats. Introduction. What's in it for me? Make your workshops life-changing by viewing them as vital systems. Feel uninspired by the workshops you lead or attend? Want to facilitate real transformation, but not sure how? In the next few minutes, you'll discover the keys to designing workshops that drive change, from ground rules that establish trust, to agendas that take groups on engaging journeys, to leadership skills that hold space for breakthroughs. You'll learn to view workshops as living systems and tap into the collective potential. Expect inspiration to facilitate from the heart, along with practical tips to create the conditions for self-discovery, courage and hope. So if you want to upgrade your entire approach, read on. Key Idea 1. Living, breathing, workshops? A transformational workshop breathes. It's alive, a collection of complex, interconnected parts in motion. Just as cutting off airflow stunts a living being, impeding any aspect of a workshop suppresses its vital pulse. But what does it mean to approach workshops as living systems? Imagine gathering a group in a cold, windowless room. You open with an agenda packed with factual lectures that allows no open sharing. Folks fidget under fluorescent lights, eager for fresh air and human connection. Eyes glaze over and any content becomes white noise. Now envision that same group seated outdoors under sunshine and trees. You begin with an icebreaker inviting real stories and lighthearted laughs. Feel the energy shift as participants relax into themselves and each other. A living workshop opens up. Like organisms, workshops thrive only when every element works in harmony, the physical space, format, activities, and facilitation intertwining like body, mind and spirit. Tend carefully to these, creating conditions that nourish authentic relating. What emerges can surpass individual growth, activating a collective intelligence with untold potential. But disrupt even one part, skimp on safety or overload content, and the system falters. Tune into this intricate balance. Let each choice flow from an ethic of care. This perspective changes workshops. You learn to discuss arrangements right up front, preferring circles to rows, seeking both quiet reflection and engagement. Trauma-informed practices help every voice feel valued. And agendas get structured around participant sharing, saving lectures for when energy dips. Ideally, the rewards can, with rooms crackling with self-discovered epiphanies and strangers bonding like old friends. Key Idea 2. Facilitating transformation. Most people have had the experience of sitting through workshops feeling unmoved and disengaged, just waiting to leave. Yet in the right conditions, stunning breakthroughs can occur in workshops through courageous sharing. In one powerful instance, a normally very guarded and gruff executive transformed over the course of a retreat. After an activity invoking childhood stories, he nervously revealed some long-held personal grief. Workshop participants listened with care as his stiff facade began softening. By weekend's end, he exuded an energy of lightness, hugging near strangers with ease. For months after, he credited the experience with changing his life. Moments like this ignite when workshops get the basics right. Safety comes first, giving participants the confidence to risk authenticity. When time gets devoted to guidelines that bar judgment and to sensitively discussing triggers around trauma, everyone can feel safer. Vulnerability should be modeled by facilitators to set the right tone. Inclusion is key, too. Every person's talents, cultures, and processing styles must be honored. Diverse activities spanning self-reflection, discussions, embodied practices, and creativity nurture and encourage varied learning preferences, while allowing choice amid structure. Even the most careful workshop planning should be flexible enough for inspiration through facilitation that's responsive rather than overplanned. Being ready to ditch agendas based on a room's energy in the moment keeps things fluid. Following where the group wisdom wants to flow intuitively is key, too, like water finding its path. In the most effective workshops, head and heart get balanced by weaving in opportunities to relate to others along with delivering content. Stuck moments can shift through guided interactions with facilitators that prompt vulnerability. Mindful leaders also nurture courage among participants through encouragement when it emerges. Most of all, this work stems from humility and not ego, supporting from below rather than telling from above, and empowering every voice. Guardianship means establishing the process rather than dispensing expertise. Magic unfolds when participants have agency in co-creation, and in the process, space opens for their discoveries. Key Idea 3. Designing for engagement. In the previous sections we've explored the principles of transformational workshops. Now let's get practical on how to craft agendas that can activate transformation. This art combines careful structure with spur-of-the-moment inspiration, carrying groups toward flow states of discovery. So where to begin designing such journeys? First, outline core sessions that match your timeframe, and balance a variety of experiences, activities, and processing modes throughout. Identify must-cover content, and be flexible with the rest. Now for the fun part, selecting activities that pop. If you have lots of content to deliver, liven things up with theater games to break the ice. Or consider activities in nature that might prompt reflection and refreshment along the way. Remember that movement and dance can help anyone who is less comfortable with speaking find new modes for expression, and small group sharing helps participants to bond. Pull in a diverse mix of hands-on activities, crafts, storytelling, and more to spark all learning styles across cultures. And don't overlook flow. Agendas overstuffed with complex instructions disrupt the continuity. Opt for simple, repeatable frameworks to anchor sessions, like story circles for sharing. Consider building recurring touchpoints around community values, or creative projects that can be focal points for interaction. Of course, participants can feel overwhelmed with too many activities or approaches. When in doubt, return to basics, reminding people of their shared humanity. Laughter always helps, too. One workshop on a serious topic revived spirits through regular comedy breaks that helped participants blow off steam and gave them an outlet for pent-up emotions. Most vitally, stay flexible and keep attuning to the group's wisdom, adjusting the format accordingly. Gently shift gears when the flow gets dragged down by dense debriefs. If a discussion takes off, postpone less critical items to keep it going. Following the energy means that you can ride inspiration's waves to new insights. And be focused and fully present while leading to detect openings, a tangential comment revealing unmet needs, for example, and respond in the moment. Trust that these unexpected openings reveal something vital that wants to emerge. Many breakthroughs have begun with heartfelt listening, then an activity invented on the spot to follow it up. While these more subtle aspects of workshop leadership might feel nuanced and complex, it's okay to start simple. Reflect on your own meaningful learning for clues. What format sparked you or gave you the vital opening to engage in the past? Use this insight to guide you. Finally, stay playful, and let your intuition lead the way. When presence meets preparation, workshops come alive, sending participants home brimming with insight and overflowing with purpose. Key idea 4. Guiding group dynamics. If presence and response are so vital for workshop leaders, acquiring strategies for this subtle work is key. So next we'll explore the subtle art of holding space while facilitation unfolds. This makes or breaks experiences, depending on your ability to guide the flow. Imagine participants midway through intense sharing during an activity. Emotions heighten as speakers feel witnessed. Suddenly, one person's nerves flare after recalling trauma, others turn silent with unease. Space opens for something pivotal, but the opportunity hangs in the air as delicate as glass. With your next response, energy could either fracture or transform. How to meet such moments? Sharp listening provides clues, revealing subtleties like body language that can indicate the group is overwhelmed. To respond, slow things down, injecting care through a gentle redirect. Later, check in one-on-one or offer optional healing support. Adaptability is key as you tune into the needs of your group, balancing structure with compassion for their process. But stay rooted in purpose so activities build rather than meander. Walking this tightrope between framing and flexibility keeps the flow alive. And flow compounds as safety builds, requiring vigilance to maintain. If tension sparks around triggering comments, acknowledge harm done while reaffirming care for all. Diffuse conflict through open dialogue rather than scolding or shutting down. Uplift those courageous enough to voice wounds that they are still processing. Of course, even thoughtful design can't prevent tricky situations from arising. Expect strong personalities, conflicts of perspective, even confrontation, given people's varied backgrounds. When tensions emerge, view this as grist for transformation, not failure. Lead with compassion first, hearing each viewpoint non-judgmentally. Find common ground, reinforce shared goals, then guide back to neutral territory. For severe disruption, invite folks to pause, breathe, and recenter individually before continuing discussion. Or get creative shifting modes, have groups break into pairs or embodied activities, releasing stuck energy through motion. Challenging dynamics offer openings, too, revealing collective pains needing airing for true unity to root. With care not to push past limits, create space for hard sharing while bolstering support systems to process. When divergence occurs on principles, update guidelines allowing all to feel safe. Adaptability remains key. Let inspiration guide solutions meeting emerging needs. Mastering this art means managing your inner state, too, regulating nerves, centering patience, and dissolving your ego. Breathe consciously before responding if reactive emotions grab you. And recognize projections. Judgments often say more about the judge than anyone else. Be mindful to excise negative self-talk that distorts what you see. Stay out of the limelight, guiding lightly. Let activities themselves channel magic as you humbly observe the transformation unfolding. Dare to let long pauses linger after vulnerable shares without rescue attempts. Trust in collective wisdom. In fact, step back entirely when appropriate. During a recent retreat, one leader invited small groups to self-facilitate while the leader simply wandered around, looking on as they self-organized with care and simply gave the space a sense of safety. Guiding well means setting forth structure, then progressively turning things over to the room's leadership. Master only what you must, handle the rest with heart. When presence meets process, workshops lead themselves wonderfully. Key idea 5. A journey, not a destination. Now that the fundamentals have mapped out the journey toward guiding transformation through workshops, where do you go from here to keep evolving? Let's explore commitment to the craft, and how to foster continual growth. First, know that mastery takes years. Early on, focus on building strong containers even with simple content. This means mastering the basics of establishing psychological safety and trust within the group before moving into more advanced territory. When first starting out, one new facilitator organized a local gathering to discuss community issues. She focused intently on welcoming each person, setting clear guidelines against judgment, and modeling vulnerability in sharing her own story. Even though the discussion topics were fairly standard, participants later reported feeling profoundly heard and connected through the responsive facilitation. Over time, as her confidence grew, the facilitator began integrating more dynamic activities while still tending to that subtle underlying container holding the space. But she credits those simple early workshops with cementing foundational skills, helping groups open powerfully even years later. Approach beginnings with patience for the gradual ascent into transformative facilitation. Expect missteps aplenty, like agenda snaffus from cramming in too much. Build recovery skills for when things veer off track. Regroup activities if you sense restlessness. It's not about rigidly sticking to plans. Gaffes often teach the most. Vital support comes from gathering together a community to journey alongside you. Find mentors farther along the path to offer guidance when you're frustrated. Attend conferences to learn emerging practices and swap stories, or join local facilitator circles for continual calibration. Make time for reflection, too, assessing what went well and why after each workshop concludes. Many trainers journal extensively for self-study, and value this tool. Notice judgment arising, though, and when it does, recalibrate any areas needing adjustment. Harvest lessons through participants' experience instead of engaging in self-criticism. And between sessions, keep evolving the inner facilitator through activities that enrich presence. Some leaders commit to daily mindfulness regimens to sharpen responsiveness. Others undertake embodied or nature-based practices realigning with intuition below mental chatter. Striving ceases when one recognizes leading workshops as a never-ending journey. How dull it would be if we ever arrived at some mythical pinnacle. Instead, lean into the beginner's mind, recalling the initial awe at the power of gathering. Stay open to inspiration from unexpected sources, and be continually amazed by our collective brilliance coming alive. And walk this path with humility, remembering that groups light the way forward through courage and care. The facilitator merely serves as midwife for their wisdom. When done well, facilitation becomes an honor, unlocking transformation far greater than ourselves. Final summary. When facilitated skillfully, workshops become cauldrons that stir up human potential through courageous, inclusive relating. View them as living systems that nurture fragile vulnerability, craft agendas to guide self-discovery, and lead responsively by holding space for wisdom to emerge. Stay committed to the ongoing evolution of your abilities through self-reflection and community support. By walking this path with care and humility, you amplify voices, unlock connections, and seed neighboring hearts with purpose. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please consider liking and sharing it with family and friends.